to begin.
Hey, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today's guest is Mayra Aceves. She is from the Leche Company, a business based out of Anaheim that offers cold brew and milk alternatives. And on top of that, she is also the curator for Verano Vegano in Downey, which is a vegan food festival. Now, Mayra was supposed to be on the show 2 weeks ago on the last episode, but, emergencies came up, things happened, and it didn't happen. But it did happen now. So with that being said, I just want to make sure that she's aware and that any future guest is aware that I am thankful for the time made to come out to the show and make the drive out. So thank you. And of course, thank you to the listeners. With that being said, today we sat down and we talked about the growing culture of pop-up restaurants, the ins and outs of managing your own business, and obviously breaking away from the traditional brick and mortar business models that we know of. Over the last couple of years, the pop-up culture has risen in popularity. You see them everywhere now, and they obviously offer their own take on culinary dishes that we know. So, obviously, if you're looking into starting your own business or you just want to get an idea of how this whole pop-up culture works, this is the best place to hear it. So, with that being said, today's music is brought to you by Boulevard. With their song Sweet Love. You can find that music on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, basically anywhere where you can find music. I'm more than sure they're going to find them. So check them out. They're a great band. I've had the chance to meet these guys before. Great dudes all around. And so what else can I say? Go support them and stick around to the end of the song. You see, I'm already messing up. Stick around at the end of the episode for the full song. Other than that, enjoy. Today we have Mayra from Leche.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. I think everybody, I posted it online probably 2-3 weeks ago. I was like, hey, we're going to have Mayra from Leche.
Yeah.
And then, it didn't happen, but, obviously, things have to be taken care of. But the good thing is that you're here now, and thank you for taking the time to
Thank you.
drive out here.
I'm well known to be a flake, so no, I'm kidding.
It's cool. Yeah, you're coming from Santa Ana, so, man, that's a long drive.
It is, but, well worth it. So thank you so much for inviting me.
One thing I forgot to mention real quick is if it's too loud or too low, you have a volume control here too. But
all right, sounds good.
Yeah, you got to take care of the people you got in here. So. But if obviously for the people who don't know who you are, do you care giving us a little bit about your background and what Leche is?
So Leche is a cold brew coffee and milk alternative company that my son Steven started on his 19th birthday. We've been around for about a year. And we make all kinds of crazy Latinx leche flavors. I jumped.
You have what you have right now.
Yeah.
Nice. So, the one thing that caught my attention the first time, so I went to Verano Vegano, I was probably like a month ago or something around there. But for those who haven't heard that, it's basically like a vegan food festival.
It is.
What are you saying?
Yeah, it's a small vegan food festival in Downey. There aren't many vegan options in Downey, and we lived in Downey for a really long time, and it was a struggle to be vegan there.
Yeah.
And being part of the pop-up scene, as a pop-up vendor, we realized there's certain areas that are really concentrated and have tons of stuff like Long Beach or LA. And we belong to a network that was having pop-ups in Orange County, but Downey was, untapped. And so So I decided to create something with all my favorite vendors and bring something for, non-vegans too, to just kind of see what vegan food looks like now.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I was one of those people that got, brought into that, so like I checked it out. My girlfriend was like, hey, we should check this place out. And she recently it's been a few months since she's been vegan. So in that time frame, I've, been pulled into that whole world and trying different alternatives to, meats or just plant-based foods, and then in your case, like dairy-free alternatives, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I showed up and I saw the whole vibe. I tasted the food. It was delicious. I've tried it for a few weeks, so my taste buds were blown at the fact that something so delicious can come from something that's not meat.
That's awesome.
So then I saw Leche was kind of I guess you guys are the main hosts of it, right? Like
we curated it. We chose all of the vendors, and secured the venue and take care of like getting the tents and the music and everything else. And so to kind of create a vibe that's inviting and that what people want to be a part of. It was also important for me and for Steven to give back to the community, and so it's also a designated location for people to drop off essential items for the homeless, things that are normally not donated, like shampoo and toothpaste and hand sanitizer and things like that. And we give out raffle tickets. You can't buy a raffle ticket, and you have to donate something or buy something from a vendor. That's also, being supportive for Las Jefas Veganas, which is an organization run by these two amazing women. And they go down to Skid Row, and we donate these things, and we feed the community once a month.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. So this is all just part of all this stuff's curated by Leche.
Yes.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't know about that part. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, before we get into the dirty business part of things, what was the original idea behind Leche? Like, where did that whole idea of dairy-free alternatives come from?
Steven's always been lactose intolerant, so he's always been dairy-free since he was a baby. I had to, make other kind of milks for him. And I think he was just really used to that. And he wanted to have his own coffee company since he was like 9 years old.
Okay, cool.
He had a project. He was like 8 or 9, and he had a project, and he wrote a whole thing about how he was going to have $1 million by having a very Mexican coffee company with beans from Mexico. And I've always been a little bit of like a political activist and very outspoken, and I've raised my boys to be sort of the same and be very involved. And I think the economic struggle in Chiapas was public knowledge in our house, and since he was 8, he wanted to do this. And so when he turned 19, he surprised me with like the business license and everything, and was look, I'm going to do it. And he spent some time in Mexico to, work with the farmers. We import the coffee directly from the farmers. We don't use any third or fourth party people, so that the farmer makes most of the money, as opposed to some of these bigger coffee companies. And he really wanted to have something just dairy-free that was still super delicious and creamy and on the coffee side of things. And just as he started creating all of these other different leches and, walnut milk and pecan, he was like, whoa, this would taste bomb if I added chocolate, or if I added, strawberries or whatever. And then the leche thing just went crazy. It was always going to be called leche, just to be kind of cute. And the fact that it was like not actual leche in the coffee with the café con leche. And then it's just snowballed into so many other things. We have 48 varieties now.
Damn. Yeah. So you guys continue experimenting and just testing out the what am I trying to say? The levels of our taste buds, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And just bringing ingredients that people either forgot about from our childhood or people just don't, remember having, part of like their daily lives, like a guanabana or mamey or nance or, pomegranate. Like we make an almond pomegranate milk, which is, who puts pomegranates in milk? But, we just, we made one really popular one is chun tea, which is a tea.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, like chun tea, like, like.
Yeah, like tazin chun tea. It's a cucumber juice with chamomile, because I grew up drinking manzanilla all the time. My mom used to make me that if I was sick or I had or my back hurt or I wasn't feeling well, and she was like, oh, for whatever. And so it's a very chunti tea to me. And then pepinos, and we serve it with a tamarindo chile straw. So
of course, you gotta have that touch. That's
to
what
really
makes
reach that chunti level.
Yeah, for sure. That's what it is. I mean, that's what I found interesting too. That you have different names, or like not different names, but you have like particular names for each drink, but they all kind of somehow relate to the culture that is like Latinx. You know,
exactly.
And I thought that was it's a really good way of just keeping that culture in that stuff. Because everything nowadays is a little like just. I want to say whitewash, but it's just generic, it's cool hearing something that reminds you of like there was I think there's one that reminded me of Selena. What was it?
Oh, the bitty bitty bum bum.
Yeah, that one. I was like, what? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's we call it bitty bitty bum bum. It's all berries.
Yeah.
We have our como la flor tea.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right. That's another one. Yeah, I think my girlfriend tasted that last time, but it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up with these people, and we love them. We want to honor them in our way, and so all our names are kind of crazy and weird. I just got back from the Maná concert. Went down to La Vista to see Maná, and when you have a leche that's called Corazón Espinado, that's totally a Maná inspired, leche. So and that one's really weird. That one has red cactus pears, tunas, and like coconut and oat milk. So
yeah, it doesn't sound like something that normally mixes.
Right?
At least I was like, well,
but it's bomb.
All right, cool. So I'll try it out next time.
Yeah.
So hearing about how Leche got put together, that basically answered the whole question about why you went dairy free or milk alternatives. Because I mean, I'm not a scientist on this, but from the stuff that I've read, is just milk overall is not so good for you, and it causes a lot of problems that we're not necessarily aware of, because we're already consuming it, so we kind of don't see what it's causing. Right.
Yeah, and we've been brainwashed, there's a lot of you remember growing up and watching those milk does a body good commercials.
Got Milk was a big big sales marketing
with
material.
all the hot people and their milk mustaches and all the ads, and I always thought and you grow up and your parents are like, tomate tu leche, you couldn't waste the milk in your cereal.
And make you grow. I mean, that's how they get you, and they're like,
exactly, and
you're gonna stay small.
Yeah. And now it turns out, instead of it helping your bones, it actually causes osteoporosis. And then there's the whole moral aspect of just, me growing up, I thought cows just naturally give milk. That's just their job. That's just what happens. But, just like us, they have to be pregnant. And so they're kept pregnant constantly.
Right, exactly.
And their babies are taken away so that we can drink the milk. And it's just it's not very healthy. It's not very clean. The way things are done here, it's not how it's done in Mexico, which is one of the big reasons leche is called leche and so many names are so Latinx. And we want to really change the minds of our grandmothers and our parents and, the people that have this mindset of, leche is good for you and meat and all this stuff because it comes from the same place as it did where they came from. Right. But it's not. Farm life and animal agriculture and the dairy industry in Mexico or Guatemala or Argentina or donde sea is not the same as it is here. Right. Here it's a huge conglomerate, huge corporation. It's a mass producing farming, factory, unsanitized thing, where down there it's you go and you milk a cow once a week, and if it has milk, bueno, and if not, oh well, and when it gets old, maybe you kill it for a party or something but it's not the norm.
Exactly. I mean, there's more of a connection to where you're getting your food from, pretty much from here. I talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. Same thing. There's just a disconnect between us going to the grocery store and seeing the gallons of milk and comparing of going over there. And I've been to Mexico and I've seen my relatives do it, and it's interesting. It's something I don't see, and it's not gross, but it's oh man, maybe I don't want to drink that. Right. But that's among the one of the things. But no, I think that again that's really interesting. And once I saw that Verano Vegano was something that was curated by Leche, I was like, whoa, that's even cooler because you're reaching out outside of things that are just they're not necessarily just dairy free. It's everything that's plant based. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool because, like you mentioned earlier, Downey's a desert for that kind of stuff. Yeah. And if Downey's a desert, I live in the city of Careje, so I'm not sure if you know where that's at, but it's a few minutes from here. And then that whole region, southeast LA, is a really bad desert of options at least that are plant-based.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that when I heard that it was in Downey, it's it's just the closest thing to me right now. So
right.
It's accessible, and I can go and it's not out of my way to find something that's a little healthier.
Yeah, that was the whole point, is to give options to Cudahy and Bell and, Southgate and Bellflower and even Huntington Park, you know, and like that little pocket of like Florence District, which is where I grew up kind of all over the place. I'm originally from Brooklyn, but when my parents divorced, I moved down to South Central and I lived on Florence and Compton. Yeah. And there was nothing there. And I used to ride the 111 bus to like Downey, fancy, like Stonewood Mall to go shopping and, you know, or to pretend to go shopping like I could afford anything there.
Right. They call it the Beverly Hills. Right. Yeah, of Southeast LA.
Of Southeast LA. It's like, oh, that's where all the money is. Like, that's where you want to be and hang out and go to the movies and whatever. So, I mean, I know this neighborhood really, really well. So, it just, I wanted to kind of open minds and create options. And then I got hooked. After we did Verano Vegano, the first was in June.
Of this year?
Of this year, yeah. And it's going to continue into next year. We just did our final Verano Vegano this Sunday. But we're planning something special for November, kind of like a vegan Thanksgiving type of thing. Oh. And then December, like a posadas.
Nice. Like around in this general area?
Yeah, right here in Downey too, yeah.
Okay.
And then we started doing an event now in Islos. And we started Veganos in Islos with my friend Miguel and Irvin and Desiree, and they're also vendors. And we realized, like, hey, we do the East LA Art Walk, which is great once a month, but a lot of people don't go to it because they just think it's art. And maybe if they knew that there was like food and music and stuff, people would come out. And that's really the community that we want to feed. I mean, there's a lot of us here in Bell and Cudahy and Maywood and all this stuff, but Islos is like where most of our people are dying of diabetes and heart disease and cancer, and they don't necessarily know how easy it is to veganize things they're used to eating every day.
Right.
So we wanted to kind of do. We had like this vision for, let's get a bunch of different Latinx vendors that are selling Latinx food, from all over, to show that we're like Latinos Unidos, So we have Salvadorian food, we have Colombian food, we have Argentinian food, and Oaxacan and Guatemala, and Ecuadorian. Like, we're trying to represent every, Latin country we can. So we reached out to all these vegan vendors, and we pop up at Mariachi Plaza, and it's every other Friday. We just did the second one. And we have music, and none of the vendors pay any fees because in LA, street vending is legal. Like, you can go pop up anywhere. So they don't have to pay any fees or anything, but they are donating 10% of their sales to the Esperanza Immigrant Rights Project. That's a nonprofit right here in LA. We can actually see the families that they're helping. It's very different to donate to Raíces, which has done a lot of amazing things, and no shade on them or anything, but it's difficult when you contribute to something like the Red Cross or Raíces or something. You don't know where your money went.
Exactly.
Or you don't see the result. It doesn't give you the same satisfaction and maybe the same motivation to keep doing it and to keep giving. So we wanted to find something local. I started donating with our VIP ticket sales from Verano Vegano to Esperanza, and it just felt so amazing. I was like, well, let's keep doing it now. Let's do this whole, Islos thing. And it was a huge success. Yeah. So many people came out, and we were afraid of being perceived as gentrifiers or hipsters or, but it's just a bunch of Latinos, we're all just like trying to feed our people and expand minds and open hearts. And they come up and they see tacos de cabeza, and they're like, what? Tacos de cabeza? Like tacos de tripa, tacos de barbacoa and birria. And it's like, that's, how is that vegan, And they taste it and they're like, oh my God, it tastes exactly the same, And then it's like, well, yeah, you know what? You can just buy this jackfruit at this store or whatever, and it's super cheap, this Asian market, and it's cheaper than buying a rachera or trozo or whatever, and you can feed more people with it, and it's practical, and it's not what everybody says it is. I feel like veganism in the beginning was very like Whole Foods, very for the white community.
Yeah, of course.
And that's not really what it is. If we look at our history, Latino food was very, all of our ancestral food was very plant-based.
Yeah.
And we just need to go back to it. We just need to, like, remember that like, that meat and animals and stuff was, like, more kind of a privileged special occasion type of,
right. I mean, of course, you have to do the whole hunting yourself.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Yeah, so. That's what makes it different because, again, like we mentioned earlier, it's just the mass producing has just made it so easy that we want to eat it every day. And it's, we've been brainwashed to think that it's part of our, what is it, that food pyramid? It's, you need to have these in order to have a healthy, balanced life. But it's like, okay, I mean, okay.
It's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, talking about, moving a little bit further into how you got all these things put together, because I know you normally do pop-ups, right? That's like your source of how you get these products out into the public.
Right.
So how has that been? Because I know at least lately, at least for me, I've seen the last couple of years that the pop-up culture has been more, people are kind of jumping into it.
Right.
And it looks easy. You think like you see an empty lot and you're like, oh, hey, I can get a fucking plancha and start making some food, And then recently, like around here, I guess they started allowing people to sell food.
Right.
Because before they were really strict. So now there's taqueros popping out everywhere, like, just regular meat tacos and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're everywhere now. So there's a lot of competition. And then, you hear people like, hey, maybe somebody can open up a vegan pop-up around here. But it's like, okay, what's the real process of going into that whole business? Like,
so, I mean, more power to you if you just want to go get a grill and pop outside of your house and post it on Instagram and have people come, right? You can do that in LA. Mm-hmm. For a long time, people were getting their things tossed up, and Gloria Molina had put a really strict rule that there was no food vending, street vending. We had a tough mayor. It was a struggle for hot dog vendors, taqueros, and all these people. And even food trucks had a lot of issues with tickets and things. So in LA, because there really isn't a path to get proper street food vending permits, Gavin Newsom decided, let's do this. Let's work with the mayor and get let Los Angeles be, conducive to creating entrepreneurship for these people. Like, they're out here on the hustle. They're trying to make their money. They're trying to do things right. And it's not their fault that there's no legal process, similar to immigration, to get there. Right. So in the meantime, and it's just a temporary kind of open free-for-all, they're working it out. The health department's trying to figure out like rules and plans and how they're going to charge us and what's going to happen. But just in LA County, and only in certain unincorporated areas of LA County, it's free. It's like, go do your thing. The cops can't mess with you. You can still get in trouble if someone like gets sick and they report you to the health department. That risk is still there. But you don't have to go necessarily and get a permit. Other areas like Long Beach and Orange County, that's not the case, or Santa Monica or Culver City, anything like that. You need a permit, and you need all your paperwork in order. You need your business license, your health permit. If you're creating food or drinks like us, that we're making something raw and unpasteurized, it has to be prepared in a commercial kitchen. Anything that you're cooking and bringing, it's not the same like a regular meat taquero can go to the carniceria and just buy, and there goes my Spanglish, but can just go and buy, a couple pounds of raw meat and some cold tortillas, and then go and pop up, and he's cooking it on the spot. With vegan food, we have to prep it. Like, it's a process. We're like creating protein from nothing, right? So we can't just do that. So we have to go and actually prep it somewhere, roast it somewhere, dehydrate it somewhere, marinate it. So that has to be done at a commercial kitchen legally. And then,
sorry to interrupt, but does that only pertain to the like Santa Monica, Orange places you said? Yeah,
like Long Beach, and it doesn't pertain to Los Angeles. I mean, legally, you're supposed to, but no one's checking right now. So right now you're cool, but if you want to sell it in a restaurant, or if you wanted to do wholesale and sell your, like, if we wanted to sell our leches to a store in LA, we need to have our permit at a commercial kitchen, and we have to prove that that's where we're producing our milks.
Gotcha.
So, for vegans, it's harder. The vegan pop-up scene is just harder for us. We have to have somewhere to prepare it. Some of the vegan food vendors are preparing at home, and you know, and selling in LA, which is fine, whatever. But if you're trying to build your business in Long Beach, because that's where you're planning on opening your location, or Santa Ana, or, you know, West Side or whatever, you can't do it that way. So for every 1 day pop-up, for instance, we participate at the Vegan District in Long Beach. It's a really great event. It happens the first Saturday of every month. Just a shameless plug there. And we have to have our business license, our health permit, and our, you know, sales tax permit and everything else. But in addition to all those things, even if our business was registered in Long Beach and we were paying an annual permit there, the day of, like, we have to have a temporary food permit just for that 1 day.
Wow. Okay.
And it costs anywhere from $80 to $200, depending on if you're food, if you're open food, if you're giving samples, if you're preparing on the spot, like all these different factors. But it's for 1 day.
That sounds expensive. I mean, you have to make that and still turn a profit,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And then there's like the actual fee, like to participate in that event. The event coordinator will charge, hey, you know, your space here, your 10 by 10 is going to cost you, you know, sometimes it's like $75 and sometimes it's like $250, you know, like there's North Hollywood Street Fair charges their vendors $250 for a 1 day space on the street. And I'm not trying to like talk shit, okay? These are people that created events and gave people opportunities, and, you know, and created a movement when there wasn't one there. Like, kudos to you. Thank you so much for doing that and opening doors. But a big reason I started Verano Vegano is I had a problem with that. I had a problem with the amount of money being charged by these event coordinators. Yeah. And I wanted to show, like, look, I can put an event together and I can show you that I can charge a minimal amount just to cover the venue cost. And if the venue doesn't charge me anything, I have no reason to charge you. I just don't, you know, unless I'm actually going to spend money on, you know, I don't know, if I was doing, you know, if I was running tables and tents and, you know, paying for advertising or something. And then maybe, you know, it's like, okay, well, give me $20 or something. But when you think about the fact that an event is happening on the street and you're getting charged $250 for that 1 day.
Yeah, and it's only for a few hours, right?
Only for a few hours. Yeah. Plus your temporary business license for the day, which could be like, you know, $50 to $100. Plus your health permit for that day, which is another like $100 to $200. Damn. It's like, okay, so now I have to make at least $500 to like survive the day. Like, and in leches, dude, we sell our leches for like $8. If we do Islos, we sell them for $6. And when we sell cups of coffee, they're like $4. So it's like the amount of leche I have to sell, not to mention the cost of my ingredients and my staff. If I have staff, which I don't, we can't afford it right now. It's just me and Steven and like friends and family that we feed for free. But, you know, the glass bottles and everything else. And then I think about like the guys that are making, you know, tacos and tortas and burritos and sushi and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, all those ingredients are expensive and your equipment is expensive and your propane or your generators and all that added cost. So we're all already in the whole $500. Yeah. And there's like this kind of double-edged sword where the event coordinator is charging, and sometimes there's fees associated or costs associated to what they're doing, and I get that. But sometimes the fee is just an exorbitant amount of money, and they're just getting rich off of this, like point blank, you know.
Yeah, they're monetizing it. Because I would say because it's limited, right? I mean, it's still brand new, right? This whole pop-up scene is still pretty fairly.
Yeah, out here, for sure. You know, like I said, I'm originally from the East Coast, and pop-ups have been a thing over there forever, you know, and in Mexico, it's been a thing forever. And in, you know, La Capital de Mexico, I mean, people have been popping up selling food. And when you think about, like, our culture, we've been, like, you know, I mean, think about the tamalera. You know what I mean? It's like, Walmart. We make food and want to give it to everybody. There's those, you know, cenadurias where it was like a, like at your house and you just set up tables outside and you're serving pozole and menudo, you know. But here, for sure, and it's definitely done something for vegans, like for the vegan movement of bringing the food to the people and creating access, right? Because there isn't enough of a following, or there wasn't enough of a following for us to take the risk to jump to a brick and mortar restaurant, you know. Because it's like, well, vegan food isn't that popular yet, and like, what if people don't come, and, you know, my restaurant's going to fail in a year. So the pop-up scene has really been crucial to spreading awareness and making, you know, our food accessible to more people, and also like traveling and being able to take it to different places and reach new people, as opposed to having one location and wanting people to just come to you, you know. So this way you get to really kind of build your brand. So I love the whole, like, you know, having all of these like different pop-up events. The problem I have is the cost. The lack of consideration for the vendor, because when you think about it, I could come up with, well, I did, and I came up with an event. If these vendors hadn't trusted me to try to at least get people there, because they have to trust me. I can't guarantee attendance.
Yeah, right. Know? They're still showing up and wasting all that resource to make food. Yeah, of course.
So, you know, they're like, hey, Mayra, we're going to do it. And, you know, hopefully people show up. And if they don't, it's not like I'm going to give them their money back. You know, it's like, it's a risk that they take. And so I think it's also just like bad for the event coordinator to charge so much, because now the pressure's on, man. Like, you charge me $250, like, you better bring people, you know?
Yeah, so. No, of course. I mean, again, I haven't had an experience with this, but just you talking about it, it's making me tense. Like, damn, it's just... You can see how it accumulates, you know, and you know, again, I would think because you're a pop-up, you have to find, you know, you want to keep selling, so you have to keep finding different places where you could set up and make, you know, a business, but then you also gotta make sure you turn that profit at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah.
So now, like with that, so how long since you started? You said June, right?
We started in September of last year.
For Leche.
Yeah. Leche.
And then Verano Vegano just...
in June.
June
of this year.
June of this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so between that time that you started Leche and you started Verano Vegano, you were just going to different locations and just
different locations. I got the idea to start Verano at... it was in February, and I started looking for venues. And I started, at first I was looking like to do it in the Valley, because I'm like, there's nothing out there, or Pomona or something, because we also lived there for a while. And then I found the golf course. We were doing an event called Mercado Downey that's more kind of a tianguis. It's more merchandise, not really food. And I thought, man, this space is so beautiful here. Like, this golf course is rad. I'm going to find out how much they would charge me. And the cost that I charge people, like the vendors they don't need a TFF permit for Downey, which is great. I just get one blanket. It's called a blanket event permit, which basically means I just list all the vendors on it, and it costs me like $150 one time, you know.
Okay.
And then the you know, whatever the venue charges me, I just split it up with the amount of vendors. And you know, and I charge like the food and like the food people $85, and then if you're dessert or drinks, then it's only $50, or merchandise, because you have less of a likelihood of making more money if you're selling like $5 or $6 items, you know, as opposed to selling like a $10 or $13 plate. So I'm trying to be as fair as possible. A lot of vendors really responded really positively to it. So many. Everybody I invited were like, yes, thank you so much. It's great, you know. And I had a lot of pressure to like promote it, and you know, I set it up on Eventbrite so we can sort of have an idea how many people were coming. I didn't want people preparing too much food and having leftovers or waste, and I'm really big on like no food waste. And it went really well. I mean, for the first event, I think there was like 300 to 400 people. And that's crazy, you know. I mean, we have done so many events where like 10 people show up. Like seriously, it's bad. And we like prepped all this stuff, and we're out there just like giving it away because we don't want to waste it. So yeah, when the first one was such a success, I got hooked. I now run an event in Orange, in the city of Orange. It's a weekly Monday event called Meatless Mondays. And I kind of have like a story, but I know you're looking at your phones.
No, I'm just looking to see.
Good?
No, we're still good. We still got like, what is that, 18 minutes? Yeah,
okay.
I can tell your story.
All right.
Now I'm just looking at questions like, oh, okay.
I'm going to tell you like the evil side of the pop-up scene.
Yes, please.
So we were doing Meatless Mondays in the city of Orange with this organization called OC Vegan Village. They started doing like pop-ups everywhere all over Orange County. They had one almost every day. They had a Monday, a Tuesday, a Thursday, and a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. And they invited us into that community, and we were like, you know, super down. And we were doing pretty much almost every single day with them. And it was great, you know. And when they added the Monday, you know, we jumped in. It's this gorgeous venue. It's the Women's Club of Orange. It's like right by the little orange circle by Chapman University. It's got a beautiful courtyard outside. There's like indoor seating. There's a restroom and stuff. It was cool. So they were like, yeah, you know, we're going to start doing this event. So they invited about like 10 vendors at first. It was kind of small. And they were vendors themselves. Like that organization runs a Munchies pop-up, which is like a diner, like diner style food, right? And so we were part of that since like January, and it was dead, man. It was cold out there. It's like from 5 to 10 p.m. Or like 6 to 10 p.m. and there weren't tons of people coming out. There was maybe 2-3 customers a night, and we're just hanging in there. And they're charging us $75 a pop, you know, $75 for like drink vendors, and I want to say it was like probably 100 or more for the food people. And you know, and no permits or anything. Like they didn't ask us for TFFs, and we assumed, well, it's part of an event center, so maybe they don't need them. Turned out, you know, fast forward a couple of months, and this like just recently went down in July. We get kicked out. Like they just like
the city came in to like
no, like the organizers were just like, hey, we're not gonna do it anymore. You know, like we found out that someone told on us or something, and it's gonna get shut down, and you know they don't want us there anymore. Like the venue doesn't want us, and all this stuff. And then we're just like, oh, that's weird. Well, like, just try to fix it. Like, just go down to the city and get a permit. Like, we all have permits. We're good. And they're like, no, well, some people don't have any permits at all, and blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, me being me, I was already doing verano by this time. I was already doing, you know, trying to organize Islos, doing all this other stuff. So I was like, well, let me try to help you. And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. You know, because they're just like a couple young guys, you know. So I'm like, okay. So I go down to the city. I figure out what they need. The city's super dope. They're like, yeah, you know, it's great what you guys are doing. Like, it can cost you $150, you know, for the event permit, and you can get one. It's called a TFF, which is a temporary food permit. But you could do it kind of like a farmer's market instead of needing one for one day, which is the super expensive way, right? Like I was talking about Long Beach and stuff. You can actually get one for the whole year, like through the whole rest of the year. If you already know which vendors are going to be there on what day, and it's going to be a regular weekly thing, you know, the way farmers markets run. So they were like, yeah, you can just pay one time $85 per vendor. And so I went to them and I said, dude, like, I'm down to pay $85. Like, we pay you guys $75, so that's cool. Like, let's just keep this going. There's finally a bunch of people, like, because from January, 10 customers to July, there was like 200 to 300 sometimes, you know. We were like finally trying to make $150, you know, and honestly, $150 for us on a regular Monday, that's cool, dude. Like, you know, we're not paying like tons of money. It's like, okay, well, it's $75, and like if we can double our investment or whatever, we're happy, right? And more than anything, it served as like a pickup for online orders and like regular customers to bring back their bottles. And it was also just a really cool vibe. We loved all the vendors that we worked with there, and it was just super chill. So and it's really close by to us, to where we live. And so, you know, I went to them with all this info, and they were just like, no, mind your own business. We don't need your help. We've decided,
the guys,
they're like, we just decided we're going to kill this event. Like, we don't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, well, why not? And they're like, well, the venue doesn't want us here anymore. They're charging us a bunch of money now, and they're raising the prices and all this stuff. And I was like, well, that's crazy. Well, let me go talk to them, you know? They're like, no, like, don't get involved. And you know what? Because they opened a diner in like April, like their own actual brick and mortar in Santa Ana. So they're like, yeah, you know, we're just gonna concentrate on the diner, and like the diner has really low sales on Monday. And I'm like, that's every restaurant everywhere. So they're like, no, we're competing with our own event. Like, we just don't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, okay, so you're just being greedy, and you don't care about all the vendors that like are relying on this income on a month, you know, on a weekly basis. Like, this is a big deal to us. They're like, yeah, no. So I still go to the venue, people. They own a restaurant in Orange. And I went down and I said, hey, you know, how much are you guys charging now? Like, can we negotiate something? Like, we really want to keep this going. And the guys don't want to do it, but I want to do it. And I talked to all the vendors, and they're all down. And they're like, we weren't charging anything.
What?
We were donating the venue for a really long time so that you guys could like build something there. And it wasn't until just a couple weeks ago that we asked for like a couple $100 for the hardwood floors to get buffed and for the cement outside because there's like oil stains for it to get pressure washed. But we weren't getting like a weekly fee or anything. And I'm like, I started doing the math, dude, because it went from like having 10 vendors to like 30, 32
Damn.
sometimes, you know? And I'm like, it's 75 or 100 and something dollars a pop. Like, no wonder you opened a diner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like on our blood, sweat, and tears. Like on the backs of our hard work.
I had to say it, douchebags.
Right? Like
Douchebags.
I was livid.
Yeah.
Like I'm a nice person, dude. I really am.
Yeah.
Like most people will tell you, at least to my face. But if you screw over my people, that's it. Like I'm going in, you know. I lost it. I was pissed, you know. I went down there to the diner, talked to them in person, and I was like, yo, I found out what you guys are doing, and this is so wrong. This is super fucked up. I'm like, and like I'm putting it back on.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna charge the vendors way less, and I'm gonna negotiate a really low rate with the venue, and I'm doing this. And they were like, well, we're gonna set one up here at the diner, you know, and good luck, because we're influencers and we have tons of like followers, and like, who the hell do you think you are, and blah blah blah, and like, you know, we own you, and like we carry your leches in our diner. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, I wouldn't sell you my leches now. You paid me, you know. And they owed us a bunch of money. Like they didn't pay us. We went to like, they're super petty. So,
That's the dark side.
It was crazy, dude. It was crazy. And it became like this weird turf war where it's like, oh, are you going to go to the Meatless Monday in Santa Ana or the one in Orange? You know, stay tuned and shit. And it was so weird. And like, you know, the community was like confused. Like, and it took me 2 weeks to get all this stuff, like, you know, all the paperwork in order. I reached out to all the vendors, and like 30 of them were down, so I paid out of my own pocket. I fronted all of their fees, and I was like, you guys can pay me back slowly or whatever. And then when I finally launched it, half of them bailed. Half of them were like, you know what, well, they told us that if we work with you, we can't do any of their other bigger events, because they have some huge events that happen in Orange County. And they're like, so we can't really afford to piss them off, so sorry, deuces, like, we can't work with you.
Damn.
And I'm like, that's wild, dude. Like, after they totally screwed you over, you're just gonna, and they're like, oh, well, you know, what are you gonna do, right? And so,
I mean, they'll learn their lesson, right?
It's
if
like,
they did it once, they're gonna do it to somebody again.
Yeah, it just recently got shut down by the health department.
There you go. You see,
you know,
that's the karma.
It's like, and it sucks because you're putting like the vendors at risk. You know, like they could have gotten flagged, they could have gotten fined. These guys can't afford a $500-$600 fine, you know, by the health department. And that's what really had upset me, was like, dude, you're not just hurting these people on a weekly basis, you're hurting the future of their business by putting them at risk. It's one thing when we take the risk in LA. Like, we know. Like, we're like, all right, well, we're protected. Like, no one's going to mess with us. But I would never just go and pop up, like, you know, in Santa Ana with no permit, because those cops are, like, not nice people. And Orange County Health is, like, really tough. It's probably the toughest one. And so you don't want to run that risk and have this huge ticket, and then, like, you know, I mean, that's like, it could be months and months of sales that are you throwing in the trash.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Quick thing, is that the clock right there, or is it 8:30?
No, I'll give you extra time. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, cool. So we got 9 minutes. Yeah. So before, that was a great story, though.
Sorry.
No, hey, it's good. No, it's because, you know,
I try to give you the condensed leche version.
And you say they didn't have money to pay that fine. Well, they could have paid that fine with all the money they're making off you guys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure.
No, I mean, well, you know, that's the thing. You know, that's the thing that people should know. You know, there's those ups and downs. You know, and particularly in a pop. Again, I've seen the pop-ups, and I'm like, dude, this looks easy.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You know, like there's a lot of other stuff going on, and obviously you're trying to. Besides pushing your brand, because ultimately that's what you want to do. You want to expand, and you want to get people's awareness of it.
Right.
So doing that, like, do you find it difficult because you have to keep moving around? Or if, let's hypothetically say they would have stopped doing that and you didn't set it up over there.
Right.
You will have to find another place, right?
Right.
And then you have to find a new customer base.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
And it's a struggle, even with Instagram, even with flyers, even with word of mouth or whatever. It's a struggle to get people to come out for you. And it's a struggle to get people to find out about an event. period, or to care enough about it to make the drive.
Exactly,
and,
to go.
And go over there, and especially like on a Monday or Tuesday or whatever. Even this last event, I don't know, the one before it was like 600 people, and this time maybe like 400 went, So it's like 600 people knew about it, but they just, maybe they had to pay the rent.
Yeah.
Maybe they just, decided to go to the beach or do something else. And it's like, you can't predict human behavior. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to like constantly be having to move around and then make people go follow you, But it's also hard to have a brick and mortar and then expect, like, you're basically feeding almost the same type of people every time because you're just in that community. We are really close to getting our location in Eagle Rock. Fingers crossed. We signed a lease today. We still need to do like the purchase contract and all the other paperwork for it, and get a lot of the money still.
Yeah.
But it's still scary because we haven't been doing any pop-ups over there. We don't do like York Boulevard, Highland Park, stuff. We're mainly doing things in the OC, Long Beach, and like, East Los and like LA, like downtown and things like that. So we don't know if people are going to show up. We hope so. Yeah. We're going to continue to do pop-ups to drive traffic to it. But yeah, you just never know. I mean, more than anything, I really wanted to come on here so that if people are doing pop-ups and they're vendors right now, to ask questions when they're invited to an event.
Yeah.
To just ask, like, if someone tells you, hey, it's going to cost $150, just ask, like, oh, really? Are you paying the venue? And if they're like, well, no, it's in a parking lot. And it's like, oh, what's the money going towards? Like, are you buying a permit? Are you paying for my tent? Are you providing electricity? Are you renting porta potties? Like, I just want more information. It's like, let's not blindly jump in because we ask questions and everything else we spend money on. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're going to pay rent somewhere, like, you find out, like, okay, am I paying my own, like, bills and utilities and stuff too? Like, find out where the money's going, and just so that you can kind of get a sense of that person's integrity and whether or not you really want to work with them. It's worth being part of that event or not, because we all need to come together, and if we all start asking and we all kind of challenge it, then it'll drive prices down. We are consumers, we have the power.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But it's kind of hard to see, because I will think people are like, this is an opportunity for me to just have my business there and show show myself to the world.
Yeah.
And it can be like, it could pull you in and like, all right, let's just drop the 150.
Yeah.
But like you said, you've been through the experience. You have to go through it, in order to start asking those questions.
Yeah. As a coordinator, it's hard to get vendors, man. Like, there's still some power there because at the end of the day, they're not coming for the event. They're coming to buy the food that vendor's offering. So if I find like some really bomb vegan pizza, I'm be like, dude, can you please come to my event? And then they'd be like, well, how much are you gonna charge me? And there's people that I'm like, dude, I won't charge you anything if you come to my event. Like, because I just put in my own money. I'm just like, I really want you there because your pizza's that good, and I know that you can pop up in a random corner and sell. The ones that feel more like, oh, well, it's an opportunity. It's like the ones that are just starting out. And then those are the ones that get screwed and have like more to lose. Yeah. So be brave, people. Like, just ask the questions. Just do it.
So I got one more question here for you. So like being into, having this experience now and then going into this whole pop-up culture and just the non-traditional brick and mortar that you mentioned earlier, like what is it? What are some of the things you wished that you knew then that you know now? Cheesy question, but
yeah. I wish I knew. I guess I wish I had just dive more into like marketing. My son's really good. He does all the Instagram stuff, so he's really like good at engaging and interacting with people, and like is funny and whatever, and he knows how to like repost and all these things. I'm more of like a socially like open in person marketing type of person. I wish I had dabbled a little bit more in that. I wish I had a better understanding of I guess human behavior, how much money people are really expecting to spend at some of these events, and like because when I go to them, I'm thinking, okay, I've got like $20 and I'm gonna buy one drink and one dessert and like one meal, and you feel bad when you see all these other people like selling snacks and all these things, and you want to try everything, and you're like, and then the end of the day goes by and you dropped $80 and now you're like, damn, I have no gas money. So like, but then you go to like these street fairs and you see people with like 6 or 7 plates, and you're just like, damn, like you really dropped all that cash. And I guess I'm just I don't know. I think I would just wish I would have like had a better understanding of like the vegan pop-up scene before we dove in. We started at farmers markets, and that was kind of like we were organically growing, and we were doing our website and monthly subscriptions and things like that. I wish I had visited more like vegan pop-ups to kind of get an idea of like what people were looking for, and how much people were spending, and like what had made us different. There's a lot of events that we'll do where they're in predominantly white neighborhoods, and we struggle. You know, people come up and they're like, leche, lychee, like, oh, is
lychee?
Is it all lychee flavors? Or they'll see mazapan and they're like, marzipan, and I'm like, no. And then, you know, and they're like, oh, what? It's like milk, but it's not milk. And like, so I really feel like our people have supported us. People of color have been amazing to us. And some vegans have been great, and most of the people that buy our stuff, they're just curious. They're just curious to see if we nail chocomil without the leche. If like mazapan really tastes like mazapan, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, we're learning every day. Every day, I'm learning something new. So
I got like a minute or two here, real quick. So you mentioned marketing. Oh shit, my stupid phone here. Hey, Joe. 2 minutes, so quick. In regards to marketing, so I have to say, I mean, I'm just gonna pull up your Instagram page right now. Oh, what am I doing here? Where is it? Over here. It's a cool page. I like your posts. Yeah, I definitely like.
Can't take credit. It's all Steven.
Definitely a good way to promote the page. I think just everything about it just looks so clean, you know, and I definitely. I mean, I'm assuming that's a big part of what like captures the attention of people, right? Yeah, and I mean, obviously the flavors and the names. But is this the best place to find more information about you guys, or is a website?
Yeah, Instagram or the website, which is also drinkleche.com. And Instagram is @drinkleche. Yeah, our website has all our info, and you can order everything, and we do deliver all over LA and Long Beach and OC. And it's all free shipping. We're trying to partner with someone so we can like ship more nationwide. And we're also in a couple of stores. We're at Vegan by Victoria's, which is a bakery in Santa Ana, and Bestie's Vegan Paradise in LA. We're trying to get into more things, and so now that we'll have our brick and mortar and not have so many commercial kitchen fees and things that we pay for, it'll be much easier for us to really expand and get into more wholesale markets. So
perfect. And if people want to get in contact about getting into Verano Vegano, if they're into that, or more information about yourself, is there any place that they can reach you in regards to that?
They can go on the Verano Vegano Instagram, or also the Veganos and Islos, because that event's every other Friday, and we're always looking. I'm looking for Puerto Rican food right now. I'm looking for Guatemalan food. I'm looking for Nicaragüense food. And so if you guys know anybody, please message us. It's Veganos and Islos on Instagram. Awesome. And you could also message Drink Leche too. So
perfect. Well, again, Mayra, thank you so much for coming out and
thank you for
making
having
it.
me.
It was great. Dre, thank you for everything, and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye.